It's time to move on to that A chord. A is a real pain in the arse, fingering wise. Okay, there are multiple ways to do it. So let's go through some of them. Just copy that one down. And now let's go through some of the fingerings you can use. In theory, anything you can that covers those three notes, holds them down, leaves these other two strings open. There you see, now we immediately hit the problem with a narrow neck. Trying to do it with these three fingers across there is a really impossible fit for me. So you have to sort of, you can't do it square like that. So you have to tilt back, which means that this one, the D string, can buzz, and I've got that C sharp there, but that finger hits the high E string. So it's a real pain with using fingers 1, 2 and 3 on a narrow neck like this. If it was a big classical neck, you could probably do it without any problems. So the alternative, because your pinky's smaller than your index finger, the alternative is to do it with these three fingers like this. Even then it's a tight fit for me on this guitar, but it can be done. There we go. Okay. So classical guitars, you can do it 1, 2, 3, but acoustics with narrow necks like you've got now, this one of mine, is a real pain. That's easier, much easier. Strumming from the 5th string down, I can get a more or less clear sound. So that is actually workable, that combination, using fingers 2, 3 and 4. Now, other ways to do it, I think I've told you over the phone. Finger 2 there, finger 1 comes in behind, and then finger 3 comes down there. So inside these three positions, you've got a sort of backwards triangle of fingers. Now that's a way to wedge all those fingers into that small space and hold all those strings down. You tuck the index finger in back, and it takes the G string, holds down an A on the G string. The nice thing about this is you quite often get a transition from an A chord to a D chord, and that triangle position is quite easy to switch between the D and the A, because this third finger here can slide, it just slides up one. This one is on the 4th string, comes down, grabs the 1st string. So you can sort of slide around. Your index finger gets to stay where it was the whole time. For both chords, it stays in one place. Okay. So you can practice that transition, moving between those two chords. Another way to play it, excuse me, is to bar it. And barring means using one finger and laying it flat across a number of strings. First finger, well, you can, if you bend the joint backwards on itself, I can't quite do it without hitting the 1st string. Second finger, easier. 3rd finger, not so easy. Do it at an angle and just about manage it. So that's barring it though is useful, because sometimes, especially if you're playing with your fingers like this and plucking, you don't need to use that string. So using a finger like that can work. Like for instance, I was a bit sloppy, but because I'm only using these middle 4 strings, I can use the bar like that. Okay, I don't need to use the high E string, so I can just ignore that one. And then sometimes, if I do it like that, I can use these fingers further up. See? So it can be useful doing it like that. A reason to do the weird thing to know about, to even mention doing it by bending that finger back there, is that that A shape can be slid up the board like that, and you can use a finger like so as a capo to bar across all those strings, and this bent finger here to bar those 3. Not so easy on an acoustic as it is on an electric. To take that A shape and slide it all the way up to get a B, or a C, or a D, or an E. So that's why I mention doing it that way, because you use these chords all the time. Okay? But when you're down here in the first position, it's not something you're ever going to use, really, as far as I can figure. So that's an A chord, and those are the ways I used to play it. And then I saw a video of someone on YouTube, can't remember who it was, who showed me another way to play it, and that is, you know, I said I made an E minor with one finger sometimes, barring 2 strings. Well, you could do the same with the A, and put one finger down here, like so. And now, you're only trying to squeeze 2 fingers into that box. The awkwardness is that this finger has to hold down 2 strings. But there's a lot of space there. And you can lift this finger off to change your A chord. Or this finger, middle finger, is slightly wider, much easier to hold down on 2 strings. You can use the third finger is only holding down the B string, so I can go. And then I'm just, if I go from a D to an A, I can just slam down these 2 fingers, get the habit of it, slam down those 2 fingers, cover an A chord. I suppose, I don't usually do this, but it would even work with, possibly, further up the neck. Doesn't work so well, actually. Those 2 fingers, you can make it work, but I don't do it that way, further up the neck. One reason for that is as you go up the neck, it gets wider. So trying to get a good coverage of 2 strings with one finger is actually becomes more difficult because the strings spread out as they get up, as they travel up the neck. Down here they're close together, so one finger can do it easily. suppose I could sit around and practice that. And then yeah, maybe not. Okay, so that's an A chord. You can do it with 2 fingers like that, if you wanted to use these ones somewhere else, or you can do it with 2 fingers like that. Or you can do it with that triangle, which is the easiest way to mash 3 fingers into that small space. And then you can still take off individual fingers. So it's quite a useful one. I'd recommend that rather than trying to mash 3 on top of each other like that. Or, especially down here, trying to get a clean total sound, including that first string, by doing a 1-finger bar. Okay, so there's 3 chords for you: A, E, and E minor. Something for you to go off and practice. So let me know how you get on. Okay. Cheers.